Hello everyone, myself Ron Singh and welcome back to my channel. So previously we started with the objects, right? And we understood that what objects actually are. But in our previous video, we didn't actually perform the coding stuff, right? So in this video, we are going to create objects, means we'll learn how to create objects in Java and what is the syntax and what does it means. Okay, so let's get started. Yeah, so first of all, we'll see what is the syntax of creating an object in Java. Yeah, so first we need to give the type of the object, right? See how we used to create a variable. We used to give the type of the variable, right? And then the variable name, right? And then the values, right? Literal or expression. So this type, right? Like int, float and something like that. Okay, so over here we also need to give the type of the object. So for now I'm creating an object called as name. Sorry, means the type of the object is name and the object name is s, right? And we are saying that it is a new student, and we'll see what does this syntax means. Okay, so for now you don't have to emphasize on this part. It will be more clear when we deal with the constructor. Okay, so see, how do we create an object? We need to give the name, we need to give the type, and we need to assign some values, right? Yeah, so what is this s? Okay, first we'll see each of them in detail. Okay, so the first student over here means it allocates a space for reference variable. Okay, so this s is nothing but a reference variable. So why it is being called as reference variable? Because it is referencing an object, right? Yeah, so that's the reason why it is called as a reference variable. Okay, it itself is just pointing towards the object, right, which is of type student, right? So for example, I am declaring int a is equals to 50. So is a the value? No, a is just a variable that is referencing or that is pointing to this 50, right? So this a in the memory is stored, right? And with the help of this type the memory is assigned, right, like 4 bytes, right? So for a there are 4 bytes, so a the value for this is 50, right? So 50 is assigned in 4 bytes, but for calling this value you need to point towards this variable, right? So that's what this as over here is. Okay, so even this s is just a variable that is stored in the memory address. Okay, so this student allocate space. Okay, as I said, this int will give the space like 4 bytes, right? So now it is a int, so 4 byte is being reserved for variable a. Okay, so now it is a type of student, some memory is assigned for this variable. Okay, so it allocates a space for reference variable. Okay, and s, this s, it is a student object's address. Okay, means it is a reference variable, or it is also referred to as pointing variable. Okay, so see, as I said, a is pointing toward 50 value, right? So this s is pointing toward a new student, right? Means it is pointing to a object. That's the reason why it is called as reference variable or a pointing variable. Okay, so clear? Yeah, and for now this student, this one, it means it allocates a space for a new student. Okay, means it means that you are creating a new object, that is a new object of student, right? And it will be more clear when we deal with the constructor. Okay, so if you are confused with this stuff, you don't have to worry about this. It will be more clear when we deal with the constructors. Okay, yeah, and objects always live on heap. Okay, so heap is a special memory. Okay, we'll see what do I mean by heap. Yeah, so heap space, it is used for dynamic memory allocation. Okay, so first of all, objects are created at the runtime. Okay, so it is not created at the compile time. Okay, so what is compile time? The javac command, remember that? Yes, and what was compile time, sorry, runtime? The java command, right, in the cmd. Yes, so objects are always created at the runtime. Okay, and objects are always stored at the heap memory. Okay, so for example, this is your memory and this is heap. Okay, so heap is a special memory that is used for storing the object variables. Okay, or we can say objects. Okay, so heap is used for dynamic memory allocation for objects and JRE classes at the runtime. Okay, so don't worry about this JRE classes at this time. We'll see this later. Okay, so as I said, objects are stored in the heap, right? And heap is a special memory, right? Yes, so new objects are always created in heap space, as I said, and the reference to this are stored in the stack memory. Okay, see what happens is, this is your stack memory, right, as I said, and this is your heap space, right? So objects are created over here and reference variable like s is stored over here. So whenever you want to call this, you need to call this, right? Means this is pointing toward this, right? Means if I call s, then s is indirectly point toward the heap memory, right? So clear till now? Yes. So for object references, bit size is JVM specific. Okay, so like int, it was 4 byte, for long it was 8 byte, right? And for short it was 2, and for byte it was 1. So like this, for object we don't have any fixed memory. Okay, so we don't have to memorize about that, and we don't have to worry about that. Object references size are are JVM specific. Okay, Java virtual machine, so we don't have to worry about the size of the object. Okay, it is given, means it is taken care behind the scenes. Okay, and default value, so default value of all the object references is null. So for example, if I create a student s and if I don't give any value, so now what is the default value of s? It is null, right? Yeah, so that's what the default value means. Okay, so for example, like int a, so now value of a is 0, right? Because we haven't assigned any value, right? So it will be given the default value, right? So it is 0 for now. So like that, if we create any objects like this and we don't assign any value, so the default value of object is null. So clear till now? Yeah, so now it's too much theory, let's deal with the practical coding. Okay, yeah, so what I'll do, I'll just create a new class and we can name it as obj. Yes, C. Yes, so okay, let's create it as a student. Okay, so it will be more easier to understand. Yeah, so now how do I create a object? Student s is equals to new student. Okay, see over here, now this student keyword is not defined, right? It is defined by you, right? So as I said, non-primitive data types, right? There were two types of data types, right? Primitive and non-primitive, right? So primitive were predefined, right? And non-primitive were user defined, except strings, right? So is this student is user defined or not? It is, right? See, we are creating an object of a class, right? So in our previous video, as I said, class is just a blueprint, right? It will just give you the feature, but object is the actual stuff, right? So our building example, right? So now this student is nothing but a class, right? So it is not an actual student, right? It is not an actual student, but this object now s is an actual student, right? So what we did, we created a class that is a blueprint, and now we are creating an object of what? We are creating an object using this blueprint. So for using this blueprint, we need to give the type of the blueprint, right? So what is the type of the blueprint? It is student, right? So that's the reason why I said that it is of type student. Okay, so now it is same as a class name, right? So now we are creating an object of a class that is a blueprint, right? So clear to everyone? Yeah, so this is how we create a object, right? Yes, so now we'll see what is the use of the object, and in our next video we'll start with the variable to go deeper in this object stuff, and it will be very much clear to all of you that what is the uses of the classes. Okay, sorry, of classes and objects. Okay, so for example, I am having a variable int a is equals to, or I can, yeah, let's give some value 50. Okay, so now see, as I said, this class is defining the basic criteria of a student, right? So it is giving that student have a feature, means have some attribute called as a, and the value of a is 50, right? But now, as I said, it is like some just a blueprint, right? Class. Now if you want to create an actual student, then you need to create an object, right? Like this, right? So now, as I said, the class will give you the feature, right? So for now our class is giving us a feature of a is equals to 50, right? So to get this feature to this object, what we need to do, we need to give the type of the class, right? So I am creating an object of this blueprint, right? So now this blueprint, sorry, this object is created using this blueprint, right? So now this object is having these values, right? Means all these features. So right, so now this object is also having a is equals to 50, right? Because it is created by using the same blueprint, right? So let's see system.out.println s. See, now if I print a, okay, so what is the value of a for now? 50. But as I said, it is just a blueprint, right? So for s, we need to like, for example, let me give you some example. Okay, so this is your blueprint, right? A is equals to 50, right? Now you created 3 objects using this. Okay, 1, 2 and 3, right? So all this object belongs to this, right? So each of them will be having 50, right? A is equals to 50, a is equals to 50, a is equals to 50, right? So now to be very precise, we need to call a particular a, right? There are now 3 a's, right, of 3 objects. So for calling a of this, you need to call the object of this, right? So for example, the name of them, these are s, s1 and s2, right? So for calling this a, what you need to say, you need to call, first you need to point towards this variable, that is s1, and then you need to say that a of s1 means the value of a of s1 student. Okay, so now you need to say that s1's a, right? So s1's a, and now if you print this, then value will be 50, right? So now for printing this a, what you will say, sa, right? S dot a means sa, right? And for printing s2's a, what you need to say, s2 dot a, right? So clear till now? Means for accessing a particular value of a particular object, you need to use the pointing variable, right? So clear to everyone? Yes. So now let's do this, like s dot a, right? So now if I print this, see, it is coming out to be 50, right? And we can also give some like sentence, the value of s is, see, it is coming out to be 50, right? So clear to everyone? Yes. So now we just did that. How do we declare a object, right? Means what is the basic syntax of creating an object? We need to give the type, we need to give the variable name, right? And then we need to assign some value, otherwise it is being, the default value of b will be null, right? So we need to define some value. Now this type is a type of your blueprint, right, which you are using to create your object, right? So for example, I am having 2 blueprints, right? So a1 and a2. So for creating a2's object, which type I need to give? A2, right? And then the variable name, and then equals to new a2, right? Clear? And now for creating an object, okay, so for creating an object of a1, what you need to give? A1 s is equals to new a1, right? So clear till now? Yes. So now we'll just create another objects as well, like few more. S1 is equals to new student, and student s2 is equals to new student, right? And now for printing s1 dot a, and I can also print system.out.println s2 dot a, right? See, okay, I haven't saved it. It is coming out to be 50 and 50, right, for both of them. So as I said, this class student is giving you some attribute, right? So this student is your blueprint, right? The name of your blueprint is student. The feature of your blueprint is says that you should have one attribute named as a, and it should have some value, and it should be 50, right? So now you created 3 objects using this, right? S1 and S2, right? So now as I said, if you are using this blueprint, all of this will be having the feature of student, right? So now it is having, each of them are having a, right? And the value of a is equals to 54 now, right? So clear to everyone? Yes. So in our next video, with the help of variable kinds like instance variable and static variable, we'll see what are the uses of the object and how do we use them in a real life scenario. Okay. So thank you so much for watching this video, and if you like the video, do like, share and subscribe. Thank you so much.